for that. My second point, as I mentioned around the budget, we are watching the budget process of the General Assembly very closely. Last week, the House and the Senate announced that they had reached an agreement on the budget, and they're continuing their discussions with Governor Cooper. And so we remain optimistic that that there will be a budget agreement, that we'll actually have a budget this year. And so, I just want you all to know that we have continued to work very hard, working in tandem with the UNC system to advocate for your and our campus's interests. Becky Mangini, who works very closely with all of you, has been they're advocating hard for some of many of the requests and needs that we've discussed over the past year. We believe the budget will be strong for UNC and hope it will certainly include funding for raises, which are long overdue. And this will be important to help recruit and retain our very best employees. And so, again, we've been advocating hard for this. I'll also say that we believe there will be funding in this budget for R&R, so renovation, restoration of many of our buildings that are, as you know, in desperate need of repair. And so we're hearing good news on that front. And so stay tuned. We will keep you apprised of any new information we receive, but we are optimistic that there will be a budget. And then third, we are moving forward on many leadership transitions, searches on campus. We are in the midst of a provost search, as you know, and we have candidates here this week on campus and next week on campus for a one-day, long day of interviews for these candidates. I appreciate those of you here who have agreed to participate. We have small stakeholder groups of faculty, staff, and students, and our deans who are participating. This is a confidential search, which is one of the reasons that we're able to have such a robust and strong applicant pool. And so these are, again, confidential interviews. There's no public forums, but we're gathering a lot of information from these various stakeholder groups, and I'm confident that we are going to secure a top tier candidate that will end up serving in the role of provost, likely beginning sometime early in the new year. And Terry Magnuson and Terry Rhodes have been doing a great job in leading that search. We're moving forward on a number of other dean searches, and I'm going to perhaps ask Bob to touch base on and talk a little bit more about those in his comments. But I do think that these are important searches for our campus. Several of them happening at the same time. But we need candidates who value our culture of collaboration here at Carolina, people who are going to help carry forward our strategic plan and other priorities, and to be part of a leadership team that reflects the diversity of our community. And so I'm interested in hearing your feedback as always. And so I'll ask Bob to say a little bit more, but I also just want to acknowledge Bob. Blouin has done an incredible job for over 4 years now as our provost, and will continue to do so, serving in this role faithfully and up until his successor is in place. And we're grateful to Bob for his leadership. Before I turn to Bob, I'll just say that we are excited. This coming Tuesday, on October the 12th, we will celebrate University Day, which a day that we close down the campus for a while, campus operations, so that as many people as possible can convene over at Memorial Hall. We'll celebrate our 228th birthday at 2 p.m. on Tuesday. And the theme this year is resilience. Resilience throughout our 228 years, and especially over these past 18 months. And so we will celebrate that and highlight the 50th anniversary of the UNC system. And President Hines will deliver an address about the consolidated system and the 50-year anniversary. And as you know, we'll also celebrate and present the Rebecca Clark Staff Award for Moral Courage at that event. And so I hope that you can either be there in person or tune in virtually. And then finally, we will, just 2 days before that, we will celebrate the class of 2020's commencement in Kenan Stadium. We have about 3,000 graduates who finished a year and a half ago, who will be back on campus that Sunday, October the 10th at 1 p.m. And Coach Roy Williams will be the keynote speaker for commencement. So I'm going to stop there, turn it over to Bob before we take your questions.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. And just following up on a few of the things that you introduced, want to once again thank all of you and the entire campus for really supporting the university's community standards, and I think it's because of that that we're in as good a shape as we are right now, almost more than halfway through this this fall semester. I did just want to bring your attention to a few things, on the COVID-19 front. First of all, the FDA and the CDC have recommended boosters for the general population. The one booster that is approved is the Pfizer. We're hopeful that sometime next week, or within certainly the next 2 weeks, that the Moderna product will also be approved by both the FDA and the CDC. The data, based upon comments and the papers, that we have reviewed, from our university health faculty, are really strongly supportive of boosters being administered. It really provides an extraordinary level of additional protection for individuals. So, for what it's worth, I'm just strongly encouraging all of you, if you are qualified to get a booster, I would just encourage you to do that. We also are rolling out our flu vaccination program this week. And I know that many of you have already had your flu shots. I had mine last week. And again, just another level of personal and family protection, encouraging you to get these shots wherever possible. And hopefully we'll have a mild flu season again this year, along with a really well-controlled COVID-19 campus. I did want to bring your attention to a change in the way that the county and the state are reporting county statistics. And I was just notified of this this week at our Tuesday morning call. And that is that the number that has been reported for the percent of the county, Orange County, that is vaccinated has been lowered, and so I was very excited about hitting the 80% mark last week, and I announced that very generously to all of the groups that I was with. And so I think the number that I shared with everyone was 80% of the population that is vaccinated within Orange County, and fully vaccinated, and 82% partially vaccinated. Those numbers have been rolled back by about 10% under each category. And it's primarily has to do with the way the state counts individuals, within the county. And I'm assuming that that is related to the university population that actually lives outside of the county. We're trying to get greater clarification on that. So if you see different numbers with regards to percent of the county that is vaccinated, that's what it's attributed to. And I will be looking to get further clarification in terms of what's going on with regards to those numbers. So I just didn't want anyone to be confused or think that we have been misrepresenting these numbers. Another point that Kevin spoke about was transitions. And obviously, many of these transitions are cyclical. We do have, we've had a number of deanships that have been open. We also have recruited new talent into the organization. I know that we've made this announcement previously, but I do just want to remind everyone you happen to be in the School of Social Work. Just want to remind everybody that we recently announced and Dean Ramona Denby Brinson is on board now and operating as Dean of the School of Social Work. And personally, I'm thrilled to have Ramona joining our ranks, and I know that she's going to provide tremendous leadership for the School of Social Work, as well as leadership for the entire campus. But just as a consequence of the normal cycling and the way deanships operate, at this university, there are a number of other deanships that are being recruited for at this time: the School of Nursing, the Hussman School of Journalism and Media, the School of Dentistry, the Gilling School of Public Health, and the College of Arts and Sciences. Those searches have been begun at some form or another. Not all, but most of the search committees have been charged. Dean Kevin and I will be